What's up, guys? Today we're playing Epic 7, and today we're going to be looking at the gear that you can use to build the heroes that you want to play. In our last video, we broke down the new equipment system and how you can use that tool when you're crafting gear. I'll put a link at the end of this video in case you missed it, and then we'll also flash up a table that I use to grade my gear as I'm enhancing. And lastly, we're going to be looking at some heroes in, various categories and how you might build them. And then we're going to roll some gear to give you an idea of what you're looking for. I'm excited. I haven't rolled gear in a long time, so let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing is that I am an average player and I really want to make it as easy on myself to gear heroes as I can. Now, having said that, sometimes you deviate a little bit if they have really good rolls, but we're going to talk about the main archetypes that I like to play and the kind that I like to roll. And the very first one is a speed debuffer. Now, at 252 speed, I really don't need to be that fast per piece. At speed set, with speed boots, I only need to get about 12 speed for each one of my pieces on average to be able to hit 250 speed. Then you want to stack something like an effectiveness ring. This is the only way that you're going to get past 150 onto effectiveness. At that point, now we're going for defense and we're going for health. So out of every piece of gear that I run on her, I really want to have defense, health, effectiveness, speed. And some things, you really can't get. For example, you can't get defense onto a weapon. It just does not exist. So defense on a weapon, you want to roll extra into health, extra into speed, and then if you can, pull down some effectiveness. You also cannot roll attack onto a chest plate. So if you're going into a hero who really wants a lot of attack, keep in mind that you probably want more speed and more of your other things onto this type of hero. But overall, she's a very easy hero to build. So when I'm looking for pieces of gear, these are the things I'm looking for. I'm looking for defense, HP, and speed. And then as a fourth one, I'm looking for effectiveness. Now, if you don't get effectiveness and you get effect resist instead, this is still a very usable piece. It'll be used on someone who is not meaning to debuff the other team. Something like an Amelia or an Ahmed, something that's very fast that also doesn't want to get debuffed. Usually it's going to be a Soul Weaver, something like a Desert Jewel Bazaar, and I think that's pretty good. And we can go ahead and take a look at this hero as well. With Desert Jewel Bazaar coming in at around 250, again, what we're looking for here is effect resist. So overall, you're going to run them exactly the same, except one's going to have effect resist and the other one's going to have effectiveness. And the second type of hero I like to run is a speed attacker. Now for this, you're going to want to focus on attack, crit damage, and then also speed. The difference between a speed attacker and a medium speed attacker really isn't much, except that one will have speed boots and one probably won't. If you look at all of these pieces of gear, that we have at least two rolls into crit, at least one roll into speed, and that makes them fast enough while also being able to hit that 100% crit chance that you really need. In some cases, I roll more speed than I really needed to, and that's really fine. Again, you can't get attack onto your chest. So if you're running an attack-based hero, you want to make sure that you get more crit and more speed and some crit damage onto the chest plate. Now, what's really the difference between something like a Straz and an Arbor Vildred? Really, it's not much. One is going to be like 190 to 200 speed, and one's going to be, way over 200 speed, depending on how you're running them. Really, the difference here is that I'm not rolling into speed. You can see this one doesn't have any kind of speed on it at all. And or you start with speed and then you just don't roll into it, but you roll high into crit chance and you roll high into crit damage. Again, no speed. Again, no speed. So these are the kind of things that you want to look for. Generally, I only use speed boots. If you're going to do speed set with nothing else with speed boots, you can hit 200 speed with no rolls into speed at all. If you were to get something like speed set speed boot with one into speed, now you're going to hit 200 to 220 depending on how many different items that you have with speed. So keep in mind that speed set being very universal, you can roll really high into other stats without rolling high into speed, and they're still going to be very usable heroes. The next hero that I really like to use is OG Crow, Blue Crow. He's amazing. I use him much more than I probably should. And we can see he's on a defense HP, minimal speed with some effect resist. This is where you have a piece, it has speed on it, or it has a lot of the stats you want, but doesn't really roll into speed. As you can see too, I'm using speed set without speed boots. So this allows him to get much more bulk and to tank things out. As an opposite, you could run a hero with something like a counter set and then use your speed boots instead to now bring them up to a usable amount of speed so that they're not too slow. Counter heroes can often be used on very slow builds, but I don't like to run any hero below 150 speed unless they're just going to be a counter bot. Something like Green Armin is very, very good for this. They're going to run really, really slow, but I'm going to bring them with a ton of heroes that can remove their debuffs and help enable them. So keep in mind what kind of hero you want to build, but Crow is a very good example. I have him on speed set, and as you can see, I'm really not getting any speed rolls. This staff came from the guild event, did not roll anything into speed, and of course, because I want Crow to be below 200 speed, now this is a very good build for him. I get a little bit onto the helmet, but overall you can see as well HP defense, effect resist. Same thing onto the chest plate, and same thing onto the necklace. If we look at the ring, when you're looking at rings and you want HP defense, effect resist, that leaves one stat open. If this were something like crit damage or something like crit chance, you can mod it into maybe flat HP or flat defense, something like that. Or in this case, I just left it alone because those really, really good rolls into effectiveness, and I might use this for a provoke. Same thing with the boots. Change your boots to match what kind of sets you're using. If you're using slow sets that are not speed sets, then you probably want to have mostly speed boots. And 99% of all my boots are speed boots. This happens to be a reward that I got, really good equipment score, so it's something I use and I can utilize on Crow. Another good example of this is a slow-ish attacker, medium to slow speed attackers. We did show Green Arm in there, and there was no speed on any of their gear, but now we're looking at Shu, and Shu is a good example of this. When we're looking at this type of hero, you want to have a crit damage, and then your attack stat. Your attack stat can be attack for a HP attacker, or health, or defense, depending on what kind of hero you want to use this on. So you want to look for that type of combination. For this type of hero, I want crit chance, crit damage, and then the attack stat. Lastly, you want to have something that would help them. Ideally, like on a weapon, I would want to look for speed. On something like a helmet, this can be a little bit different. You might not need speed. You might go with your attack stat, in this case it's health, defense, crit chance, and then instead of speed, maybe crit damage, or speed depending on how fast you want to run them again. But all of her gear is going to run roughly in that order. You want to pick 4 stats, and then on that 5th stat will be a minor supplement depending on if you have to mod something or if you're going to focus them in one direction or another. In this case here, I really don't want to mod out 8 attack, and I probably had a flat stat here, so I went ahead and pulled in defense. And then of course, because I'm running into a counter set, but I still want them to be able to cycle, then I'm running speed boots. If you want to do something like a Rem, who I don't have built at the moment, this is a very slow counter attacker. So maybe what you want to do here is you want to run HP boots or attack boots instead of speed boots because you're using them as a counter bot. So keep that in mind as you're rolling gear. This is going to be the last type of gear that you want to look for. Crit, crit damage, attack stat, and then a supplemental stat or speed at the end. And of course, if it doesn't roll speed, that's perfectly fine because we can supplement with those speed boots to get the kind of stats that we're looking for. Now let's go in and do some crafting. We're going to be going into our steel workshop, and today we're going to be crafting the Katie's gear. Now there's a big difference between the left side gear and the right side gear. Left side gear will always roll the exact same main stat, and the right side gear can roll everything. So as you're going in and crafting, you're going to have the most luck and the highest gear scores on that left side gear. Your weapon is always going to roll flat attack. Your helmet's always going to roll flat HP. And then your chest plate's always going to roll into flat defense. Now, as we roll this type of gear, we want to take the types of characters that we build and now look for those types of substats in the gear that we really want. So clicking arrange, we can automatically get rid of this blue gear. With the blue gear, if you need gold, sell it. If you need charms, well, maybe you utilize these pieces to now level up the gear that you do want to keep. Otherwise, you're going to be clicking extract. With the new extract feature, they changed the sanctuary to give you charms for utilizing these cores. So you can do it up to 4 times for your equipment, 4 times for your accessories. That'll give you 40 extra charms per week utilizing these cores. So for the level 85 gear, I try and extract it. Below 85 gear, I sell. And then also the epic gear, I do like to sell. When we click on the selling, we can see that it gives us 25,000, whereas this one would only give us 15,000. So I do like to sell that epic gear. It helps me to keep control of my gold so that I'm not always running out. Now, when we're looking at our heroic gear, we already have the same main stat, so we can just kind of ignore that. Let's look just at the substats. If I see a flat, then I'm going to get rid of this gear. And here's the reason why. If I have a flat HP and a flat attack, and then at plus 12 I roll flat defense, well, there's no way that you're going to utilize 3 flat substats to now make a really great character. So this is something that I just choose not to do. I want to have great substats if I'm even going to roll it. So again, we see flat, and I'm going to get rid of that. Here, we see 2 flats, double bad. Onto a epic piece of gear. If I had 1 flat piece and 3 decent substats, I might choose to keep it. So for example, if this was a speed, defense, effect resist, you might find somewhere to put that. If this was something like HP, defense, effect resist, you might find somewhere to put that because you're going to mod out this defense and maybe speed. So now you have all 3 or 4 stats that you really want to make a hero that you can really use. This being onto a pen set, I automatically want to have attacking stats. So I would want to see, high rolls into attack or high roll into HP or something, and I just don't get it. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of these. Let's see that again. Okay, so we can automatically get rid of all these blues. And then let's see what we get. I have a flat stat here, so I'm not going to keep it. Now I have 3 substats that just don't make sense. First of all, I have speed and crit damage, which is good, but I don't have an attacking stat or crit. So you can take crit damage speed, you can take crit damage attack, I can take speed crit attack, but I can't take this effect resist in here as well, because you're not going to be able to build a hero that you can really use. Same thing here. I have really no mechanism to turn this into a hero that I really want to use. If I had HP, defense, crit chance, you could do that. If I had speed, crit, health, maybe you can do that as well. Maybe you can put that onto like Alencia. That might work on her, but this mix just does not work. Now with this piece of gear, you have everything that you want, right? You have speed, you have attack, you have crit chance. Max roll into crit, almost max roll into speed, and okay roll into attack. This is a piece that if you need torrent set for an attacking base hero, then I think you keep it. It does meet our minimum for our chart for heroic gear, which is good. But if this rolls into, let's say the 2 or 3% then our targets, then you have to abandon it. If on the 12th roll, it rolls into something like flat defense, well, now what are we going to do? We have to have a plan before we go past 9 to mod this out if it doesn't roll what we want. So all these rolls must be good, or that piece is not going to be great. Now, as we're looking at it here, 2 low rolls does not meet the equipment score, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of these. And then we're going to go ahead and keep this. So out of 2, I potentially have 1 piece of gear that meets my criteria. Hopefully I get 1 more. This piece, very nice. We have, not only does it meet our equipment score, but look at this. We have no flat pieces. We have no speed, but that doesn't really matter, right? We have a max roll crit chance, max roll crit damage, and decent rolls into defense and attack. Now, if it were to avoid, let's say it avoids defense, then you can choose to mod that into speed if you want. For me, I would just keep it just like this. There's a ton of heroes you can use that on. So very first thing, we're going to lock that one down. And let's see what else we have. We have flat, get rid of that. Get rid of all the blues. We have flat, get rid of that. Now, for this type of piece of gear, effectiveness is not something that I necessarily want onto a crit base gear with no speed. And here's the reason why. Let's say that I roll all effectiveness, and then my plus 12 is something like crit damage. Who do you want to utilize this on who needs a ton of effectiveness while also utilizing crit damage with no speed? It doesn't make sense. Onto your helmet, I have way too many helmets that don't have high rolls into your damage based stat. So you want to have a damage based stat that starts with like attack, HP, defense, and have someone in mind who's going to utilize that. So it's something that we're just not going to keep. Not going to keep. And this is interesting as well. If this were a speed set, this is something I might consider keeping. You have a good speed roll, you have health, you have effectiveness, you can utilize this on a debuffer, and attack doesn't hurt. If you run all attack, speed, and health, well, maybe you want to put this on somebody that doesn't need crit chance, someone like Moonlight Cow or Moonlight Kawazu. You might, if it avoids health and effectiveness, you might even utilize this on somebody like maybe even a Senya, or you might utilize it on someone like a Hua Young. But being pen set, you automatically want to have that crit chance, and we just don't have it. If you want to do something called speed testing, which you try and roll and see if it rolls triple speed, that's up to you. I don't typically do that, and I don't typically do it in offsets. If I do it, it's only into a speed-based set. So this is going to be up to you. For me, I don't do it. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. For the right side gear, what I really like to do is come into my Alchemist Steeple and utilize my equipment conversion. Now you can do some of your left side gear and it will work. I can come in, I can pick onto the set, and you're going to get an epic piece. But I think that you don't really want to waste your reforged materials coming in and doing that. This piece actually turned out really great. We're going to roll this. We have 3 stats that we really want to keep. We have speed, we have effectiveness, we have HP, we have crit chance. So depending on how this goes, this can be utilized on either a speedy damage dealer or even a speedy debuffer. So we're going to keep that gear pretty good. But we really want to utilize our right side gear. So let's say that we wanted to come in and we wanted to run something like a speed set, speed boot, or we want to utilize something like pull a couple down. We want to utilize something like a counter set speed boot. So we can come in, we can pick speed, we can then pick the set that we want, and let's go ahead, we'll run speed set, speed boots. Don't never have enough of those. And then now, because we limit the RNG, we're more likely to have better substats. In this case, we don't, but we can see that we have fixed speed, so we always know that we're going to get that. And then now we only have to worry about the next 3 subs with up to 1 sub that we can now modify into something else that we need. Okay, so this is an okay example. We have speed, health, and effect resist. We also have attack and effectiveness. If we can avoid one of these, then we can mod it into defense, and now we have a really great pair of boots that we can put onto, any kind of knight or soul weaver in the game, and have it be a really good piece for them to hit all those targets. Of course, we went into flat attack or into attack, which is awful. So if we can avoid effectiveness, then I think this piece will work out. And we don't. That's fantastic. So what are we looking at here? If we were to now mod this attack into defense, we would get something like 9 to 11, which is about the same as just having one roll into it. But we have now 2 stats that we were trying to avoid, so now it's really time to get out of this piece. If you wanted to take that and keep rolling it, you could, but every roll after that has to hit your targets. So that would all have to hit HP or all have to hit effect resist. And now we're getting into a lot of wasted gold. What if I roll into HP on +9, I roll into HP on +12, and then what if I roll into attack again at +15? It's too risky. Now you wasted a whole bunch of resources just to get to the end and be disappointed. Okay, so this one, min rolls, really, really awful, does not meet where we want to be at +6. So now time to get out of it. You're going to go through a lot of gear like this. A lot of gear is just not going to be usable. Sometimes you run into substats that you really don't know what to do with, right? Like take this piece for instance. I have HP defense and I have effect resist, and I could mod out this crit into speed. But do I really want to take this? Do I have anyone to utilize it? I really don't yet, so it's just going to kind of sit here. These 2 pieces are probably good examples as well. We have a 61, which is pretty good. We have speed, crit chance, and crit damage with effectiveness. So think to yourself, at +15, if it rolls into effectiveness, would I be happy with this piece? And the answer is no. I would be completely disappointed. My heart would be crushed. My whole day would be ruined. So do I want to take it? Do I really want to go to that next level to +15 and then to have that disappointment? So maybe you wait, right? Maybe you wait until you have a higher score, or maybe you wait till you have someone to utilize it. Same thing here. You know, we rolled pretty good. We rolled a 4 and a 5 onto crit chance, and then we rolled like a 6 and a 5 or something like that, and a crit damage. But then 2 speed and effect resist. I mean, am I going to be happy if this rolls into effect resist? I'm really not. It's going to be awful. So that's why these kind of sit here until you either, 1, you get rid of them because you're tired of looking at them, or 2, you find someone who can utilize it. And don't waste resources just to get to the end and have it be awful. Something like this, let's go ahead and roll this just for fun. +5. Yay. It will roll exactly what you don't want. If I mod this, then this becomes now a 3 to a 5 speed, which is okay as long as I don't roll it into effect resist again. 6 roll into attack, pretty good. Let's go ahead, we're going to keep going. Now if I roll into effect resist again, then you just have to get out of this piece. 3 there, I want a 56, I have a 58. It's okay. It's not an amazing piece. Let's see what happens. The disappointment is going to be real. Oh, okay. That's good. It rolled a max roll into crit chance, and that saved our +3. Now we're averaging a +4. which is actually pretty decent. I want to be at a 66. I'm at a 70. Let's take it all the way. Come on, bro. You're on camera. Oh, okay. 5 5 roll into crit damage. Not amazing. 7 is the max, but we're at 83. And of course, we wanted to be at least 80. If I mod this piece, do I have a speed? I do. 3 to 5. Let's go. Give me a 5. Of course, we get a 3. Now, I'm not going to spend another mod stone just to try and get 2 more speed. You can if you want, if you have a whole bunch of these, but I don't typically do that, so you just get what you get. Now, did I lose? I did. I lost. I actually lose equipment score there, but still an okay piece. Let's go ahead. We're going to reforge this piece. And this is really the last thing that I want to touch on is what are we looking at when we reforge pieces of gear? When we reforge, we're typically going to see 11 to 13 onto the equipment score as it improves. So that's really, really important because this is going to be the same level that we want to run gear at level 88. I want to run all my level 88 gear as if it's already reforged, or else why would you run it? They give you level 80 gear, they give you level 78 gear, and then, yeah, it's great that you don't utilize those resources to reforge the gear, and it's really great early on, but as you get further and further into the game, you really want to have gear that is 90 equipment score or more. If we look at a lot of my gear, as you guys see it, as you watch my videos, a lot of it is 95. Sometimes I get close to 100, and that's really where I want to be. I don't want to have anything under 90, and eventually I'm going to start cycling these things out. If we go like into my actual like equipment inventory, and I click on like hide equipment, then some of this gear that I have is level 85 is going to start to get trashed. So like this is 78. Oh, that one's 85. That one's actually not too bad. 88, 87. These are below 90. I'm not utilizing them on anyone. So these things are going to start to get cycled out. This level 71 gear, why would you keep this when you can, if you really wanted to make this kind of gear, you can now go and make it up to 90. So this will allow me to get direct upgrades by using the equipment score to figure out what to get rid of and to figure out what to keep. And of course, that's going to help save you a lot on your inventory space, which we just don't have enough of. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope to help you see how I manage my equipment and how you can manage your equipment as well. Give me a like so other people just like you can find it as well. Until next time, happy hunting and good luck on your battles.